A funny thing happened to me on the way to the grave. I was walking along one day on Sesame Street in Alphabet City, minding my own business when I tripped over this here conspiracy. So I want to tell you all about it just in case I go missing. Or I just happen to die like the others, mysteriously. Anyways, this conspiracy is about an inverted parallel universe called Alphabet City, a place where the slaves really believe they're free, but that's because they're inverted. So the truth is hard to see. You see, Alphabet City is located on Propaganda Avenue and Sesame Street. And it's not a democracy, it's a multifaceted prison where we the people are, cleverly held in captivity by prison guards from the ICC, short for the Evil Three: imperialism, colonialism, and capitalism. And let me just tell you, there's some nasty motherfuckers with a god complex and a racist disposition. So you be wise to stand on your square intellectually prepared for battling the crackers' relentless and never-ending racist inquisitions. You see, Alphabet City is a hierarchy of crime families, and the mafia godfathers are the Evil Three, aka the ICC. So one day ICC called on three crime families, the NSA, the FBI, and AT&T, with orders to spy on the slaves and prepare to attack any free-thinking radical, especially if they're black. But this was a broad conspiracy, so ICC called on the crime families from the DOD, the FAA, and the FCC, notifying them that they were going to pick a fight and go jack some sand niggers from overseas. They said yes, sir, and it was straight to DEFCON 4. And without a moment's delay, check it, suddenly there was a story about 19 sand niggers with box cutters and one in a cave. Great, now we get to kill sand niggers, as well as our own slaves, and here's the real kicker, gentlemen. We all fixing to get paid. ICC then called on the SEC crime family, located at the Wall Street Casino. You know the ones, who love playing with other people's money like a game of CeeLo, and although they knew many slaves were going to die that day. But shit, never mind all that, because with these put options we just purchased, there's buku money to be made. Now you can get that house up in the Hamptons with plenty of cheese left over for that Snow White and your side chick. So when your wife ain't looking, you can get laid. But ICC realized there was more ground to cover. So they rounded up a couple of miscreants and degenerates and created two new crime families, the DHS and the TSA. For your safety, of course. Man, I was only kidding. It was more for surveillance and for tightening up even more control over the whereabouts and movements of the slaves. Then ICC reached out to another crime family, known as the EPA, who after September 11th told the slaves that the air was safe to breathe and that everything was okay. So when ordered back to the plantation, they quietly obeyed. But one day, ICC became alarmed because many of the slaves were getting sick and dying from breathing that 9/11 toxic air. Not because they cared, this wasn't good for their pockets, because they're greedy, so they really hate to share. So in a wild scramble, ICC called the on the DOH crime family and told them, don't you even think about helping these slaves. Don't you dare. And make sure you deny them medical attention at every turn. And if they ask about insurance policy payouts, tell them sorry suckers, for we don't have a dime to spare. Then ICC called the CDC and the WHO crime families with orders to purge the slave population. They went straight to the lab and got right to work, because they're psychopaths and sadistically mean. And surprise, surprise, what do you know? They created COVID-19. But hold on now, that wasn't the real killer. It was the vaccine. You know what I mean? But then the slaves began asking too many questions and needed to be distracted, so ICC called on NASA and the CIA crime families to create a distraction. They quickly sprang into action and resurrected the old alien misdirection story, finally tailored to their satisfaction. The slaves were the perfect target to play along. Why? Because they're poor and have little to no education. So give them 5 pieces of silver and what do you know? They're in front of TV cameras claiming they saw a UFO. Who better to spread fake news than the distorters of reality? None other than the mockingbirds from the CNN, Fox, ABC, NBC, CBS, and MSNBC crime families. Still, more needed to be done, so ICC called on 2 other crime families and their favorite henchmen, the DEA and OPD, whose orders were to keep the slaves in check and protect the property protectors that protect the property for the ICC. So they flooded black slave living quarters with drugs so they can come to arrest and kill black slaves. Kill them all, they say, even if they're babies. Yep, cause they're gonna grow up to be just like their no-good daddies. Dumb, shiftless, and lazy. And I know what you're thinking. Cause I be thinking the same thing too. This shit is fucking crazy. There was still the problem of numbers, and the slaves numbered many. So ICC called on the 4 international crime families that operate on land, air, and sea, and they be the USN, the USAF, the USA, and the USMC. And their orders were to set up shop in slave schools and get them to sign up as cannon fodder. By telling them they'll be fighting for freedom and democracy. Sir, no sir, they'll be killing and dying on behalf of the gangsters from NATO and those over in Alphabet City. That's a conspiracy theory. Don't be silly. Not leaving anything to chance, ICC summoned the ATF crime family because more slaves needed to be deleted. So they poured in the alcohol and firearms into the slave camps, knowing that they will kill each other because they've been psychologically traumatized and spiritually depleted. It gets even crazier if you can believe that. The DMV crime family was also in on this conspiracy. I kid you not. And their orders were to keep track of the slaves driving on roads owned by ICC. And to make sure that they pay a fee. And a fee, on top of a fee, on top of a fee. And if they complain, tell them I said, don't fucking bother me. ICC wasn't finished just yet. So they called on the last 3. First the FHA, with orders to deny any slave with a scarlet letter a place to live and a place to sleep. And for EBT, their orders were to also deny them the right to eat. But because these slaves keep having too many babies, and this is a big no-no, so for ICC, this is definitely not okay. So they called on the last crime family, who were more than happy to be on board because they'd rather see dogs in the park than children at play. And this crime family is known as the FDA. And their orders were to approve dangerous chemicals in the water and food supply, so after 50 years of exploitation. And the slaves are no longer profitable, they're to be disposed of. No thank you. No pension. No health care. Don't care. And this is no lie. Just funeral debt and a few departing words. You can kiss my ICC ass and go fuck off and die. This is life in Alphabet City. The end. Goodbye.